Welcome to this video on the Fiat Ducato. Today we're going to be installing a tow bar and the electrics. Let's take a look at what I've bought and what's in the box. I've gone with a tow right tow bar purely for one reason, which I will explain shortly. But in the box you get your tow bar, you've got your brackets, God knows how many nuts and bolts, your support plates for underneath, bits and pieces for the tow bar assembly, and in here I have bought the dedicated Fiat Ducato electrics, which are pretty much plug and play. That's your loom there and your box of tricks. And the reason why I've gone with a tow right is for this reason, and this reason only. When I bought the scooter carrier and I went and picked it up, the guy had a brink tow bowl and tow bar system on his, which is what my new scooter carrier was attached to. So I thought I'll buy the same one, because then I know everything's going to be okay, and that's the best way to go forward. But after doing a little bit of homework, I discovered that on the bar, on the brink, you only have two fittings, two welds to the main tow bar itself, whereas the tow truss one has a third down the center, and I just really fancied that for a bit of extra support and a bit of extra strength as well. And one other little reason that swayed me to go with this is that the nose weight of a tow bar is very important, and your nose weight is the maximum amount of weight you can put on this piece, being the nose. On the brink, I believe it was 130. Some of them are as low as 100 kilos, but this one is plated up at 150 kilos. So I can put 150 kilos of nose weight on there without having any worries whatsoever. So that was the reasoning behind that. I bought it from P.F. Jones. Seems to be quite popular. A lot of people buy stuff from them. They're very good service, fast delivery, very helpful technical department as well if you need to give them a call. And basically bought the whole lot from them. So that's it. So let's take a look at the van and see what we've got to do to crack on with it. First of all, you've got to undo these 4 bolts here. There's a couple underneath. Just remove this cover. That will expose the slam bar that's currently the rear bumper. We'll be removing that, taking it away, and fitting the new tow bar, slam bar stroke on the back, which will take the place of the old one. And then it's just plates and brackets, etc., securing it underneath to the chassis. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 up here, 1 in each corner and 2 in the middle. Make sure you give these ones a good spray up underneath if they go a little bit tight on you, as mine did. I undid them, they went tight. I thought, oh, here we go, bit of spray, done them up again, undone them again, done them up again a few times, lots of spray, and they all came out intact. So 4 underneath, 4 on the top, and as simple as that, your bumper cover is removed. And that's basically what you're left with. That's your slam panel, slam bar, whatever. All we've got to do now is undo. There's 2 bolts holding this on. There should be a third, but they blank it off on these for some reason. Same there. So we'll undo those 2, get those off, and then we can offer up the new bar. Okay, now we're going to undo the bolts on the rear. You've got these are 16 mil, one there, and I've got one here. And then ironically, there's a 15 mil on the other side. So you have to undo those two from underneath and these two from on top. I've undone the underneath ones. I'll show you those in a minute. These are loose already. So now we should just be able to undo these like so. Like so. And pop it out now. That's what I was saying about those ones underneath that get corroded. Technically now this is obsolete, so I don't know whether I'm going to keep it or not. And just taking a look from underneath, that's where the nut was on the stud on the lower part of that slam panel over there, and that there is the other one just up here. Also, what has been a bit of a bonus, with the airbags fitted to the back, I was able to pump them up to about 4 bar. 4 bar? Yeah, 4 bar. And that's given me so much height underneath that I can work under it without jacking it up at all, which is rather nice. And that just gives you an idea of the sort of clearance you've got. When I think the airbags will go a bit more than that. So, we're at the stage now where the new bar can go on. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a little facelift and a bit of a clean up before we put anything new on it. Also, you might find there are 3 hole mounts on your new one, and behind that bit of tape there is your 3rd threaded hole, which is rather nice. The same behind there. So we'll get that off, and that opens it up for me. I've given the back end a clean up, remove those bits of tape that were covering the 3rd hole, just giving her a bit of a freshen up all the way along. There was some residue here of some description which I've removed and just put a bit of paint over the top of, just to stop any corrosion. So now let's offer up the tow bar. I'm just going to put one fixing in it just to see how it fits. Tell you what, it's not light. And that's the tow bar stroke slam panel, just loosely offered up into place. That's your 3 holes that you're going to use there, and that's your 3 you're going to use there. When the cover comes back to go on it, I'm going to have to cut 3 little nicks out the bottom of it, but that's underneath, so we shouldn't see that when it's finished. I need to work out what I'm doing with the nuts and bolts because there's hundreds of them, absolutely loads of them. So what I'm going to do, there is a diagram that comes with it, and if I remember rightly, there's like a manual thing you can download online. Probably put it all together quite loosely till I start getting the main brackets in place. I don't want to secure it up too tightly if I'm going to mess up with the bolts. So I'm going to leave it for today because it's starting to get a little bit dark and it's not a job to be rushed. So I'll crack on with it in the morning. Ah, there you are. Morning, day 2. Before I went home last night, I decided to have a quick look at the nuts and bolts to see if I could work out where they were going to go. There is a sheet with all the numbers and that on them, but I was none the wiser. But I'm just going to play it by ear and see how many we've got left over. But one thing that was playing on my mind was the wiring loom for the electrics. So I thought I'd take a little look at that, because canvas is something I know little and understand much about, to be quite honest. Now mine's the 2014, well, it's a 64 plate, so it's facelift model, and there was a change in their wiring setups of the Ducatos. I don't know if it's the same for the Citroens and the Boxers and you name it. But so the technical department, you know, they were very helpful, and they recommended that I take the facelift model of electrics, which I've done. Now, I've seen loads of looms online, and they all show at the back of the vehicle where you would branch off left and right into the respective light units, and they're like a plug and play thing where you take out the existing plug from the back of the light and you patch it in, job done. My one has turned up with none of that. Now, I don't know whether those models have canvas systems fitted or not, but my one on one end has got all those which go into the socket over there somewhere, which your tail lights plug into on the outside of the vehicle. You've got a couple of earths along the way, and at the other end all you have is that, which plugs into this box of tricks here, and a yellow and a black wire, that one there, and another earth and a live. And I could not get my head around the fact that there's no wires other than the yellow and black to tell, how does it know what you want? The brake lights on, you want the indicators on, you want hazards on, whatever. So I did a bit of homework on canvas, and God almighty, I don't understand it at all. You know, basically the canvas system seems to be like the ring main you'd have in a house. These two wires control everything. This box deciphers what the signals must vary, but or all be different, and the box must break down, work out what you're trying. You put the indicators on, so the signal goes down the wire. When it gets to this box, it goes, always turn the indicators on, so we'll make them flash. That seems to be basically it. So I don't know whether I got the right wiring loom or not, so I'm gonna have a go and we'll see what we can do. But anyway, let's crack on with the install. Like I say, canvas, very clever, so worth bearing in mind. Pre sort of 2014 is one wiring setup, and after 2014 right up I think to 21/22 is this. I've started off getting all my nuts and bolts together, and a selection of spanners. I have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and a 19 in a combination of spanners and ratchets as well. All very tidily laid out on the floor. Now, to get all three bolts in, I was faced with a little bit of a dilemma. I couldn't get all three through. You say that when you've had a couple of beers. At the same time, they were really, really tight. So I used the jack underneath here to lift the bar up. Now there's a little lip on the back of the van which this presses against, and I guess mine must be slightly pushed down maybe. But anyway, I've got all three in. Three that side. They're all loose. On the bottom one, I've gone reverse with it because that's the way it was on the old slam panel, so I thought I'll just do it that way. The first thing I'm going to try and fit is this bar here, and what happens with this one, I'm going to have a little problem. This hooks under the end of the tow bar on the outside, and there's a hole in the just where I'm pointing to now, that hole in there lines up with. Now I have a little issue, and this is unique to my build, I should imagine, being factory, is that those four ports you can see there are my vents for my gas locker, but they are preventing my bar from sitting up there flush. So I'm going to have to prepare those, clean those out, work something out in order for this to fit. So I've cut the tails off the far two vents back to the chassis and basically cut away all the old sealer and resealed it right the way along, only with an EBT sealer because that's all I had to hand. And then the bracket is going to face up right against that. So let's try and fit that in there now. These brackets are handed, so you can't get them round the wrong way. So that will then face up to there. And then these two bolts here that fit there. Whoa, look at that. That fits in there beautifully. So that's how that fits up there. And I've just stuck one through there for now, just to hold it in place. And then what I'll probably do is go up there with another bead of silicone across the top of that bracket, just to make sure there's no water ingress. Probably that's only applicable to a few. This is a Tribute Trigano factory fit, and this is where the gas locker is inside the vehicle. And this is the other side of that long bolt. So I'm just going to stick a washer on there. Do that up loosely for now. As for outside, you've got one threaded bolt, one threaded nut within the tow bar there, and then this one is a nut and bolt through there. This is a bit awkward under here, but we're doing our best. Once that bracket's in place, I haven't tightened it up yet. On the other side of it, behind the leaf spring, there is a rubber grommet in the chassis. Pull that out, and then you're going to need to insert this, which comes with your kit. Ingenious little bit of clever build work. It slots into that hole like that, and then slides over, allowing you to put a bolt through the bracket and into there. I'll see how I get on trying to show you that. So I managed to get it in there first time, but I put it in the other way round, so the little tab, you can just see that little tab sitting out this side, because the bolt wants to sit on the far extreme of that hole through the chassis. And I've literally just put a bolt through here just to hold it in place. So I'm going to tighten that up now and put the two bolts in the bottom. Now, the kit does come with two of these tubes. The idea of those is they should be inserted into the box section of your chassis on that bracket. Let's have a look. So the idea is that that tube goes up there, and you run the bolt through it to stop it crushing either side of the chassis. Now that might be applicable on some models. My one has it reinforced in there. There it is. It has another rail running through it, and that bolt is sitting on top of it, so there's no way in for that. So I don't need one. But if this box section were hollow and you were tightening this big one up all the way through, you'd start to crush the chassis. But this is reinforced inside, so no need to apply those to this fit. So that is this side almost complete. I've tightened everything up a little, but not a lot, just to allow me to make sure they're all good. And I've lined up the bar itself. This centre bar here is sitting bang in line with the centre of the doors, and I've done my best to allow the same gap at both ends here. It's slightly different, and this is as far left as it will slide currently, but it's pretty damn central, and that's the bottom done there. I can tell you there's not enough bolts, and in my kit anyway, loads of washers, and I've been double washering everything so far, so I don't have enough bolts to finish off the other side. I've got my 3 in there already. I've got 1 here for that. I need a nut and bolt for that one. I've got that one there to go through the chassis. That is an amazing little simple design, because there's no other way you'd be able to hold on to that. But yeah, that is brilliant. I love that. So yeah, I've got those. I've got a bolt and no nut potentially for down there, so I'm still missing 2 nuts and bolts at least that I can think of right now. So I'm going to go and get some nuts and bolts, and then I'm going to finish off the other side. So I got some new bolts, but they're rather long. That's the size I wanted, and that's what I've ended up with. So I'm going to cut those down. A little trick when you're cutting bolts down, put the nut on the bolt first, so then when you come to take the nut off, you can easily remove it and it cleans the thread for you, so you don't have any problems putting the nut back on the bolt. So both sides are now fitted. This is the first side where I had to amend those air vents from the gas locker. They're all done. I've bolted everything down now. And then when you come round to this side, it's exactly the same, but there is in the kit a spacer which is needed. Can I show you this? Where are we? And it goes in there between this bracket and that other fitting that you slot into the chassis, because otherwise it would foul the towing eye. But it works brilliantly. Well pleased with that. Everything outside, I've marked the bolts so I know that I've torqued them up. Well, I haven't torqued them up, but they're bloody tight. They're all done. Now it's just down to sorting out the bumper. And here's the bumper. I've just literally marked it out. 1, 2 and 3. I've offered it up against the tow bar. There is a template, but I'll do it this way. Okay, my cutouts all done. Let's offer the bumper up and see how it fits. Now, if you had a universal electric kit or the old style electric kit, you would use these grommets here and here to feed up your left and right looms to your respective light clusters. But mine doesn't appear to do that. It goes straight forward to the cab, so I can put my bumper back because there's nothing really going to be in the way. As far as the installation is concerned of the tow bar, I think I am done. I'd like to say that the tow bar kit is brilliant. You know, everything's been thought out of regarding brackets, shapes, angles, even those spacers and stuff like that. All very useful. You may need them, you may not. But the one that's around the towing eye, I thought was phenomenal. Phenomenal setup. But I absolutely enjoyed fitting that. Not too bad, apart from the short of nuts and bolts. I had to spend £6 on another set of bolts for it. But, you know, it is what it is. And in true style, I've given the bumper a bit of a polish up before I put it back on. I've put my 4 bolts back in here, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 on each end here. The 2 that go underneath, I need 2 very small bolts for those, and I just don't have them. So for now, I've just put a cable tie through them. They marry up with the bar perfectly. I can only say that that kit is very well built and very well designed for the Fiat Ducato, and I'm sure that all the others are the same. You know, the usual sketch, they're all the same underneath. I've put my plate to mount my electrics on. I'm not going to do the electrics today, it's a bit late in the day. I suppose in reality it's taken me the best part of, say, 4 hours with messing about with nuts and bolts and stuff like that, and cleaning up and what have you. But we'll do the electrics in another video. So as far as tow trust are concerned, I thoroughly recommend them for the Ducato, the Peugeot Boxer and the Relay. Just got to get on with the electrics now, so I'll do that in the next video. So I'll sign off on this one. Hope you like it, hope it helps you out. Don't be worried about doing it. Make sure you've got enough nuts and bolts. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye for now. Well, if I do say so myself, I'm quite pleased with that. Home, James. Nice.